This is what happened inside our house after the roof had already been done. And that is why we had to redo the entire roof after already paying for it. The worst part is we didn't even realize how serious it was at first. If you are building from the diaspora, if you are one of those people who are building from the diaspora, this is one of the biggest risks. Things can look like they are done, but they are not actually done properly. In our case, this cost us. It cost us a lot of money, guys. At the time, everything looked like progress. The roof was going on, workers were on site, materials were being used, and you assume things are being done correctly. That assumption is where the problem starts, right there, that assumption. Panapa papresiwa. Then we started noticing problems. Water getting in, dust coming through, even though when you couldn't see where it was coming from. And that's when we realized something was not right. One of the biggest mistakes that we made was trusting the process too much. We put so much trust in the process. We assumed that because people were in the trade, they would do the work that was going to meet our standard. But we soon realized that was not the case on our project. And to be honest, it's not always the case. Don't assume just because people are in the trade, they will do the work to the required or your expected standard. By the time we fully understood the problem, we had one decision: redo it. And that meant starting again from scratch. After paying once, we were gonna have to pay again for something we had already paid for. But this time, we had to make sure it was done properly. Membrane added, tiles redone, ridges corrected.
This is bedroom 8.
Yeah? 1,160. 1,160.
This experience taught us something very, very important. When you are building from the diaspora, trust is not enough, guys. Trust is not enough. You need checks, you need systems, and you need someone who can verify the work for you. And by someone, I'm talking of an independent professional, someone who is independent of your project, to come and check if the work is of the expected standard, is of good quality also. Why am I saying this? Because progress is not the same as correctness. Guys, you know I'm all for progress, and I always say one step at a time. Small progress is still progress. But when it comes to this, just because you're making progress, it's not the same as correctness. Things might not be done correctly. If we were doing this again, we would certainly do things differently, and this would look like something like this. We would have those independent checks I've mentioned. We would not assume the work is correct. We would verify each stage properly. Each stage. You would rather people think you're crazy or you are too much, but the price you pay when things go wrong is huge, and it's only you who's going to pay that price. So make sure you check every stage and you get that verified independently. And this is because the most expensive mistakes are the ones you discover when it's quite late. This is why I actually started putting together simple checklists and guides, because these kinds of mistakes can cost you a lot. Learn from someone who has had to learn things the hard way. So I'm telling you this, and I'm sharing this, the checklist, the guides, so you don't have to make the same mistakes, so you don't have to lose your money for the wrong reasons, so you can maximize what you've worked hard for to cover more ground with your project. If you are building from the diaspora, I've linked something practical below that can help you. So what am I saying? Building home is very possible, guys, and I love building, and I'll keep encouraging you guys to keep building. But for our builds to be more successful, you need to have proper systems in place, because it can become far more expensive than it needs to be. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.
Yeah, I'm in downstairs, on the side.